Hey, it's Chris here. I'm coming to you live from the cabin, lost in my little woods of Alaska. We've had some pretty exciting things going on. I moved to a new server. I'm being housed over in the UK, and my blog's got a new look. I'm really happy with my new host. She's fabulous. And today I have a special because I have a zombie book, and the resident zombie genre, well, I shouldn't say hater. He just doesn't like the direction that the zombie genre has gone. And so, anyway, my wonderful man, Jeff, is going to do the reading because he kind of looked at me with his single eyebrow raised and went, "You want me to do the reading because that's a guy and you don't even remotely sound like a guy?" And I went, "Seriously? I've been hitting around at it for like 3 or 4, hours." And he finally, after hearing me read it, decided to offer his services. But I think it will be awesome because Jeff's got a great reading voice. And I like when he talks at me, so maybe you'll enjoy it while he talks at you guys and reads you a little bit of today's weekly shorts called Dead Sea Games Adrift.
Back for more? You're a cocky one, the game's master smiled wickedly. What's your ante? I threw 6 packs of batteries from my backpack into the ring. Unopened double A's. I'll take that. A skinny Asian teen with a slicked up black and green mohawk dropped a cardboard box into the ring. Scott Kim in a previous life. To us he was just Fohawk, one of the many orphans of the New World. 100 rounds, 9mm. I didn't give a shit about ammo. I just wanted to play. No, scratch that. I needed to play. The games master shouted, "Anyone else? Last call." The crowd quieted down to whispers as I faced off against the circle from Fohawk. No, the games master scanned the crowd for takers. Satisfied it was just the two of us, he got down to business. Start the bidding. 2 minutes, Fohawk said. 5 minutes. I could see Fohawk visibly wince at the number. Etiquette on bidding was vague at best, but bidders weren't supposed to up the ante so fast. I wasn't going to let this chance to play get away. There wouldn't be another game this week, and this would be my only chance for release. Damn, why you gotta be like that? Fohawk stepped towards me until he was toe-to-toe. 6 minutes. 10. Fohawk backed away from the circle with his hands up in surrender. You're crazy, motherfucker. I'm going to enjoy watching you die. Set 10 minutes on the clock, the games master announced. You're it, kid. I walked down 5 flights of stairs with the crowd at my back cheering and chanting Death Wish. Shorty had his greasy fingers up my shoulders, rubbing me like a prize fighter. We reached the balcony on the second floor, and the unruly mob pushed their way out onto the terrace. The crowd parted before me as I walked to the makeshift crane that would lower me to the street. I grabbed hold of the rope and swung up and over the deserted lane. They dropped me the last 5 feet, and I watched as the rope swung up toward the balcony. My lifeline was gone. I pulled the 2 gore-stained lead pipes from my pack and waited for my first victim to appear. Begin! The games master shouted. I took a deep breath and let the anger build in me. It was always there, just below the surface. Anger so deep and pervasive that it threatened everything in my life. The older I got, the harder it was to control. The final gift from my dead father. It didn't take long before I spotted the first zombie coming to investigate all the noise from the balcony. Game on, I whispered. The first instinct for anyone who saw a walking corpse, agent of infectious death, was to run. Anyone who said otherwise was a lying sack of shit. Within a few seconds, that instinct turned violent, and the desire to kill the abomination grew with each passing second. Something deep inside knew that the gaping wounds, black maw, and stilted gait were things that belonged to something with no soul, no humanity, no worth. I hadn't met a zombie I didn't want to smash into a pulpy mass of black goo. This one was no different. I took my time, spinning the lead pipes back and forth across my hands while the zombie lumbered toward me. The crowd had a better vantage point at both sides of the street, and Shorty, among others, called out advice on where I should go. But really, after a few minutes, the deadheads would be coming from everywhere. It wouldn't matter where I stood. The first zombie lost part of his Wall Street business suit somewhere along the way. Its $4,000 suit was missing a sleeve and the arm that once filled it. I let it get close. It was good to remind myself what was out there lurking in the streets, never resting, always searching for the hot blood-filled flesh of the living. Its once blue eyes probably charmed the debutantes and bar sluts down on Fifth Avenue. but now the milky white covering of cataracts and scratches made his world a blurry mess. His nose and cheeks were sunken in death, hollowed out by the wasting of time when there was no such thing as a circulatory system to replace the healthy pink flesh he would seek eternally. The mouth was the worst, rotting teeth and a sea of black pus, thick putrescent fluid that was once the blood of a victim, but now swam with billions of zombie-creating bacteria. One drop of that ichor against an open wound, even the tiniest scratch, and I was a goner. Unfortunately for Mr. Wall Street, I didn't have any open wounds, and he was in big, big trouble. I stepped inside his grasping hand and kicked his knee out, causing him to spin and drop to the pavement. This simple trick exposed one of the zombie's 3 weak spots. I swung and smashed at the soft spot on the base of his skull with the lead pipe. I felt the bone crunch and the soft resistance of the rotting brain beneath. Somewhere between the scrambling of brain and crushing of spine, the zombie lost its connection to the universe and fell over in the street unmoving. Dead. Again. 9 minutes, the games master announced. It was his unofficial duty to count down the minutes until I'd be allowed back to the safety of the balcony. 1 minute down. The first 2 were always the easiest. Even a 6-year-old could survive out here for the first 2 minutes. We've all learned how to anticipate their movements and trip them up. We knew the evasion tactics for the single or duo of occasional wandering deadheads by heart. There were about a dozen more deadheads at each intersection of the short street coming my way. The tide was rolling in, surely but slowly. The game depended on the predictability of the zombies' response, and they never let us down. The closest were 2 young ladies with vacant eyes and ruined sundresses. Another life would have blushed at seeing their semi-exposed flesh through the tatters of fabric. One of them had had enough sense to put on underwear the day she died. Frilly white lace, now ruined with dirt and dried blood. The other had one exposed tit, and crooked landing strip pubes were visible to the world for all eternity. It would have been masturbation material for a horny 15-year-old before the emergency. But there was nothing erotic or even salvageable from the dead, gray flesh of those once beautiful girls. The only instinct my brain rendered at seeing the open, rotting crotch of the zombie girl was destroy. They lumbered within my reach, opening their moaning mouths for flesh, and I put them down with fury. I smashed through their young, lifeless faces with the metal pipes, sparing no hesitation for lost beauty or youth. I've killed other girls, younger and more naked than these 2. That they could have been a crush, a girlfriend, or even a future wife before the emergency didn't upset me. It made me angry, and their deaths did not faze past me in the least. 8 minutes! The crowd of zombies was closing in now. At the corners of the streets, their numbers were impossible to count. It seemed like more were coming in from the north, faster and in thicker droves, so I moved south, stopping only to line up the 3 bodies I'd accumulated so far. Creating stumbling blocks was important in the game. Zombies had limited eyesight and dexterity, so every outside obstacle put in their path bought precious time. I picked out the closest 2 on the north side and took them out with one blow to the top of their skulls, then placed them between the stripped shells of cars. With stumbling blocks on all sides, all I could do was wait. 7 minutes. Several zombies stumbled over the bodies of their compatriots, and I put them down as soon as they hit the concrete. The barriers were stacking up now, 1 here, 2 there. My lead pipes dripped with black gore, bits of hair and flesh clinging to the sticky mess. 6 minutes! The masses closed in. In another minute there would be no place to go. "Behind you! 2 under the cars!" Shorty's voice carried over the din of the crowd roaring and chanting for my blood. He wouldn't mind seeing me die either, but he had beer and cigarettes riding on the outcome as well as his father's payment. 2 zombies crawled from under the burnt-out SUVs and grabbed at my ankles from behind. I dropped the heel of my boot on one and cracked open its skull. The other had me in its filthy grasp and pulled itself in for a bite. "No, you don't, creeper!" I dropped the butt of the lead pipe and slammed the dead head to the concrete face first. I could feel its teeth and jaw shatter under the impact, rendering it impotent for the time being. 5 minutes! There was no more time to think or listen to the warnings from the crowd. The deadheads attacked from every angle. Every cranny and crevice they could fit through in the wall of bodies showed a new dripping maw. I stopped thinking about it and let the rage escape. I was angry about everything. Angry my dad and sister were out there wandering with the deadheads. Angry my future was gone. Angry that my life sucked. But mostly I was angry that I was still alive. I'd tried every risky stunt and taken every stupid chance I could in the last year, but God kept saving me. Somewhere in the flying gore and over my own screams of fury, I heard the games master. 1 minute! Get the rope ready! 60 seconds. Cold fingers clawed at me from every direction. Only my makeshift barricades kept them from dogpiling me. I kicked, punched, and smashed with abandon, destroying everything I could see. One grabbed hold of my shirt at the back and wouldn't let go. I broke the arm, but the fingers tight. Another zombie rolled over the pile and landed, curled around my feet. It twisted and writhed to get purchase on my flesh. Time! Holy shit, he did it! The games master yelled. Get him out of there! A braided rope fell over my shoulder and I grabbed on. I kicked my feet to get away from the deadhead wrapped around me, but it wasn't letting go. Pull! The games master shouted, and the crowd pulled the rope, now wound around my arm. I shot 10 feet above the pile of bodies, but the zombie attached to my foot rode up with me. She gnawed at my boot, looking for flesh. Her rotted teeth and black mouth were going to sink into me before I could get back to the balcony. I finally pushed my luck too far.
Wow, that was just really cool. Thanks, honey. I appreciate it. He's over there grumbling. Something happened on Skyrim. I think I've lost his momentum. But I'm really glad he did that reading. Anyway, guys. Alright, so I hope that you're intrigued. I want you to remember that it is free for the rest of the day. So make sure you grab your copy. And you can find out just what happens to little boys who play in the streets with zombies. Okay, he's not little, he's 15. But I think it brings up some interesting points, and I've addressed a couple of those in my review. And if you go back and you read there's a few reviews up. It's pretty new. It's been up on Amazon for a little over a month. But I think that Dr. Hazard has brought up some interesting points just in that little monologue as he's going through and surviving 10 minutes in the sea of dead bodies. I have to say that I'm pretty impressed, and I really enjoyed this book, and I hope that you guys go and grab it and read it and write your own review. And you can see his Twitter below, so when you write review, make sure you tweet it out and share it with him so he knows and he can thank you. He's a pretty cool guy. He does take the zombie thing from a scientific standpoint, or at least tries to. Other than that, it's Sunday, so we have a whole week ahead of us. It's a busy, busy week. This is kind of the last busy week of blogging. It seems like the last 2 weeks in December, things get a little quiet. I do know that I will be doing more sharing than I usually do because my clients are going to be away playing. I'm going to be catching up in more reading. I also have a review on the 10th or the 11th. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Isn't that horrible? Anyway, it's either tomorrow or it's on Tuesday, and it's called Scorpio Rising. It's a book for book club bash, and there's all these wonderful things going on. We've guest posts, guest reads, reviews. But anyway, Scorpio Rising is a book about an Afghani soldier, an officer in the U.S. military, and he came back with severe PTSD, and he was put on, he's still actually in the midst of war, but he's on medical leave right now because his PTSD. Anyway, didn't think I was going to like the book. You'll like my review, I hope. I'm going to be doing, and there's a couple more other blog hops happening. Don't forget about my giveaway, post or click giveaways, and there's tons of blogs giving away free books, book related things. There's over 150 blogs involving yourself. You could literally spend like 3 or 4 or 5 hours just hopping your way through. So what's really cool about doing blog hops is you just find new blogs to read, like I have time. But I'm rambling. What's new? Don't forget to also check back on Friday for Fourth Wall Friday. I'll let y'all go. read the review. Don't forget the book's free. And you guys have a great day.